Welcome to the Gov Geeks. I'm Javier, and in this video, we'll interview Dr. Marilyn J. Bugenhagen, faculty and executive coach at the Office of Personnel Management's Federal Executive Institute. Her work has had a profound impact on human capital in agencies across the federal enterprise. With an extensive background in leader development and coaching, she truly knows how you can get in and get ahead in government. So be sure to click the subscribe button, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and of course, visit thegovgeeks.com for resources on professional development in the public sector. Now, let's get to the interview. Welcome to the Gov Geeks. Thank you so much for joining us, Marilyn.
Well, thank you, Javier, for the invitation.
Absolutely. I'm really excited about this discussion. So full disclosure for everyone, you and I had the opportunity to meet at a great organization within OPM, and you literally changed my life. And I'm sure that there are hundreds, if not thousands of people that can say those exact same words about everything that you've done for them.
Oh, well, thank you for that. I mean, it's an honor and a privilege to be able to serve our federal leadership through the Federal Executive Institute. So thank you for that compliment.
Of course, of course. I feel much better about being a public servant, so that's great. And I have Captain America and the shield and everything on the wall at all times, and to say that you have really created a better view of public service for me, I think is saying a whole lot.
Well, that's wonderful. That's great to hear.
So we have a couple of questions, but please, if you can start off by telling us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So, so my name is Marilyn Dugan Hagan, and one of the privileges that I get to do every day is to work with federal leaders who work for the federal government, particularly executive level leaders, both in the senior executive service and GS-15, GS-14, depending on where they are at. Different agencies have different definitions of those two numbers. GS meaning general service, right? So all the coding names. So sorry if we do a little bit of that might be a little confusing. So the Federal Executive Institute is located in Charlottesville, Virginia. I get the privilege to work out of my home, which is right outside of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and then about half of my time is at FEI. So it makes it a really great opportunity to go back and forth and work with people in various ways. I do executive coaching, I teach courses, I serve as a lead for a program a couple times a year, as well as write new curriculum, that's one of the things I'm doing currently right now, is looking at a brand new program. So it's a pretty exciting time.
That's great. And so many of those examples that you gave are really designed around changing people's lives and really empowering government.
Yes, absolutely. This opportunity to really get wonderful opportunities to lead in multiple contexts is really I think, a great, exceptional opportunity by working with federal service. Awesome.
And speaking of leading, there are 4 questions that I have for you to talk just a little bit about. So quick answer questions. The first one, who would you say is your spirit comic book character?
So I had to do a little thinking about this, but in the end I came up with, I think it's your favorite, Captain America, particularly related to the moral development.
Right, I agree.
And really this service to others. So Captain America was top there. I wish there were more women characters that I would say. I think that some of that's starting to come out, but yeah, Captain America will work.
Yeah, you know, the more of that, the better. And in fact, we have a great video on 5 leadership methods and activities for Captain America. So that's going to be a fun video as well. So question number 2, Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
There you go.
So again, I mean, Star Trek, I think Star Trek was, for its time when it first came out. So today I think much more applicable. Star Wars, I think I just like the enduring the enduring development of people, whether they're on the light side or the dark side. There's still good in all of that, and we need to learn from all of that. So I think I like there's a lot of moral lessons in Star Wars. There are a lot of moral lessons in Star Trek too, but Star Wars preferred. I think it's the hairy creatures.
So who shot first? Was it Han or was it Greedo?
Oh my God, I'm going to say Han, but I've seen the video.
And I know that's been edited and re-edited tons of times. But I also think it's Han as well. Marvel Comics or DC Comics?
I think Marvel.
A lot of good character development in Marvel.
Yeah, and it's just it's something about the way. It's something about the way the characters' faces are. There's something different about them, and I'm not sure. I haven't been able to pinpoint what that is.
Oh, I'm really curious about that too.
Yeah.
And so the last question then is PlayStation or Xbox?
We have both in our house.
Oh, good for you. We only have the one.
Yeah, well, it's we've kind of the evolution. I have a son who's kind of a geek about that stuff, so he uses PlayStation, I think, more right now.
Well, which is cool. And to be a geek is a fantastic thing in my book.
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely.
We have some other things I know that we wanted to talk about today. And one of them is just basically how to go about getting into government. It seems that a lot of individuals, myself included, when I was trying to figure out how to get into government, have a passion for it, want to serve, but the process and the time that it takes, it just seems so challenging. So what pointers would you have for people trying to get into government?
So I think, a couple things is, first of all, get your resume prepared. Think about all of the things that you have done and things that you can demonstrate that you have completed. And then think about what those time periods are, because they want to know your beginning and your ending point of any of those jobs or activities or internships or other volunteer activity that you've done so that you're ready. And usajobs.gov, G-O-V, is the place to go and get yourself an account, get your information put in there, and then set up some alerts of some things that you're interested. I even search it just basically to kind of look. I was just on it last week looking and saying, what's out there? What are people doing? And you can make a search by topic. You can make a search based on a geographic location, a state location, particular agency. And really think about what is it that you need to have, and what is it that you'd really like to do. Most people think, oh, maybe I have to have a degree. Not all the jobs in the federal government require a bachelor's degree right away.
Right.
It certainly is, if you want to move up into major management or leadership positions, you're going to need to get an advanced degree, a higher education degree at some point. But there's plenty of places to dip your toe in and understand federal service and begin to take that movement. If you're a college student, there are a couple programs. There's the Pathways program. If you go to your career services office at the university, you can find out more information about that, although you don't necessarily have to do that, because the Pathways program that are openings, these are an opportunity to get into a position with an agency and try it out and see what that looks like. They're usually limited to maybe a year or two, depending on what's the structure for the program, but a great opportunity. It's a paid internship, it's a paid way to learn. So that's a great opportunity. If you are working towards a graduate degree, and pretty much in any graduate level topic area, the President's Management Fellows looks for folks who really want to get in to the mid-career. Almost, I would say more like a mid-career because of your academic background, that's another place. And that one, though, is only available for applying November of each year. So you'll want to get on their list to get pinged about that. So that's a great opportunity. So there's multiple places. The other thing is that, there's a series of people who have worked on campaigns for folks who are at the federal level. Some have done, if you're looking for federal service, you'll want to get on a senator's campaign or representative's campaign to get some experience, or a presidential campaign. Those are certainly places where you can get some more understanding of the federal government and what's entailed and what's it mean for people to be representatives of the American people towards that. And that also then works for several people I have friends who have been able to get into federal service because of some of that as well, along with their higher education degrees. So lots of opportunity.
That's awesome. And I think the theme that I saw throughout each of the points that you brought up was just getting more engaged, finding out more information, going out, looking it up, trying to be more involved, volunteering, that sort of a thing.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, my son, who's still in college, recently applied for a job on USA Jobs that was only a half-time position that in the future could be full-time work. In this particular work, it was half-time with benefits. So it has this, there's lots of different opportunities that are out there. And certainly we know, and we've heard this in the news, that there is an expansion in some agencies for additional folks to work. And I won't name the agencies, but they're out there. So I would really encourage people to look. I think the last time I looked, since I'm in Wisconsin, there are like 231 Wisconsin jobs.
Wow. That's
a lot of jobs. I'm not even sure what the total is on USA Jobs today, but there are a lot of availabilities out there. Even though they say there's a hiring freeze, there were lots of them jobs that were approved. So, dig in and take a look.
Of course, the work of government always has to continue no matter what the environment is. So there's a lot of opportunities at all times.
Yes, absolutely.
Would you identify any particular challenges that people would have and steps that you would suggest for them to overcome them? Perhaps some of the most common issues that you've seen?
So some of the common issues is people want immediate feedback. So when you apply in USA Jobs, you will get electronic feedback for them. And then there's always an ending date. Some of them are open positions until filled, and so it may take longer. But just pay attention and be open that the process is going to take longer. In fact, I mean, if I think about how long it took me to get the position I have, it was well over a year.
Wow. Yeah.
So there are, depending on what's happening in places, it may take longer. It's going to take longer than you think. There is extensive background checks. Typically what will happen is if they're interested in you and you say yes, they'll take you through a first level, and that may take 6 to 8 weeks because they do a pretty thorough look at us. And then once you get hired, there's a next level depending on your clearance or depending on the level of information they need about you. So you have to be patient. And, in this day and age, you might think about, I could take this job now for 4 or 5 months, and then the federal work comes along, and then you always have the option to say, yeah, I'll take that. So
Absolutely.
I think people
That's
need to be flexible. And it may not be, you may want to wait. I wouldn't take myself out of anything in USA Jobs unless I absolutely said, oh, there's no way I'd ever take anything else. I think there's lots of opportunity. And so I think it's a good thing. Your government is trying to make sure that they hire great people, like many of you that are watching this. And it takes time to make sure that we have great people to work for this great nation.
Patience and flexibility.
Yes, absolutely.
and that's also a great tip throughout your career. Not only just trying to get into government, but figuring out, well, what is the next step for what I need to do? So careful planning and consideration, but also just being patient and being flexible with what the opportunities are. That's a great way, I think, also to get ahead.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, that's a big part of emotional intelligence, is this management of self. And so part of that is, checking where you're at, really understanding and being self-aware in order to know that there are just some things that are in your control and other things that are in your influence. But certainly applying for jobs are, the most you can do is be patient and be persistent. Those are big skills that will go a long way for you.
Such wisdom. I love it. So the other thing that we were looking at is leadership. It's not just about having the title or the grade and where you are, but just thinking through leadership lessons at the individual core of a person. And you talked just a little bit about emotional intelligence as well. But can we switch gears and talk just a little bit about lessons on leadership?
Sure, absolutely. So I think there are, we'll just play with 4 fundamentals that I think are important for us to think about related to leading ourselves and then connected with others. And one of them is the ability to communicate. both orally and in writing. It's important for us to think about how do we do that clearly, how do we express what and get our message across, and make sure that we understand our audience. So that was, if you've done some work with that, certainly being able to stand up and speak with people, to interact individually with another person, or as well as small groups, that ability to communicate is large, and for making sure that people are clear. We talk about this ladder of inference and making sure that we don't make assumptions, right? Stay low on the ladder and make sure you're getting some good information to go on is really important for us. The other thing is this whole self-awareness, knowing yourself, knowing what are your strengths, and then knowing where the areas are. Maybe they're not, maybe they need a little polishing, a little work. Knowing what you're not good at is a good thing to know, because if you're representing yourself, well, yeah, I'm okay with that. But if that's really a skill people need, they may get the impression that you have that ability. So knowing what you're good at is really important, but also what you're not good at or what you're not happy doing, because otherwise it leads to other things that might not be as important, or it might be more important for you. So that self-awareness is really important piece. The other thing is being able to interact with people and read people. So that's a part of having some perception about other folks, being curious. Curiosity is huge. In fact, Javier, I think you have good curiosity.
Thank you.
That I've noticed about you. And being able to really wonder and give people the sense of doubt. And so then again, I'm going to say staying low on that ladder of inference and getting some more data, trying to understand, is really a huge piece of this self-awareness and this interpersonal relationships with others. And then influence. How do you motivate other people? How do you influence them? How do you find out what makes them tick? It's not that I can decide what motivates you, for example, Javier, is I start to see what motivates you by getting to know you better, getting some more information on you, being in that interpersonal relationship as a leader. Helps me to know, oh, Javier likes these things or tends to get really excited about X, Y. So let's see if he wants to be engaged in these things, not assigning whether or not you'd like that. And that's an influence piece that as we move up in the leadership ladder, that we really need to understand.
That's perfect. And I actually have that on my wall, the ladder of inference as well. And we'll have a diagram of this. We'll have links below so people can look at it a little bit more closely, perhaps do some self-reflection on where they are. But that has been a great tool. And I appreciate your words about curiosity. One of the things that I found very helpful for me is I sit back, I look at the ladder, and I think through what I may be perceiving or misperceiving about someone or about a situation. And rather than rushing or jumping to a conclusion, I'm able to then reflect and take a different approach, which a lot of times when we have bad experiences, we think, oh my gosh, why did that happen? Why did I say that? And you only wish that you had the time to go back and correct it. Whereas if you were to think about things and reflect on them before situations happen, you avoid all of that heartache.
Yes, absolutely. And that's a part of that self-awareness, to catch yourself in the moment before it happens. But we know that you have to build that muscle, and that's a good example. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, of course. Yeah. And like most things in life, I'm all about building muscle. So the wisdom that you've shared, both on how to get in and how to manage leadership and growth, these are things that are just valuable bits of wisdom. And I know as an executive coach, as a facilitator, as an educator, people are really drawn to you, but also the amount that people would have to pay to be in these programs and have these coaching services. I mean, it's just so valuable in this information that you're sharing with us. We're very thankful.
Well, thank you for asking. I really appreciate having the opportunity today.
Of course. And another thing, just to kind of connect another dot, we were talking a little bit earlier about leadership. And this might be a way that an individual who's watching this presentation and really understands a lot of great stuff that's happening, but they want to know a little bit more, this might be a way that they can reach out to you.
Sure, absolutely. So I've been involved with Leadership. It's the Leadership Institute of the Leadership Organization since 1997. And over 90 some university campuses hold these programs. It's a 6-day program and institute about living and leading with integrity and how to have a healthy disregard for the impossible and create visions for how you can make change. And if you go onto leadership.org, you'll be able to find out about that program. See if your campus, if you're at a university campus, if they have that program available, how you might be able to attend. If not on a university campus, they also hold national sessions, 6 of them in the summertime over the 6 days, a couple in Illinois, and then there's an East Coast, West Coast program. It's a great opportunity to engage with folks that are 18 to pick the number, because it's open to a wide age variety. But it's a small group program where they do use family groups and then large group sessions. And you really learn about yourself through the program. You learn about your interpersonal relationships with others, and then thinking about how to create a vision of the future from something that you're really passionate about and want to change. And so, I could do some name dropping. So Larry Page was at the University of Michigan, I believe that's where he came from. Cooked up some of the ideas about Google when he was at Leadership. Brian Greasy, who used to be a football player, did the same thing. There's been some other folks who have, Heath Mello, who is now a senator in Nebraska, thought about, how could he affect change, and so has done that. And it's been really interesting to look at the different ideas people have decided to dedicate their lives to, or to dedicate some of their volunteering to because of the Leadership program. So it's a great opportunity for you to learn about yourself and connect with a great community of people who want to serve.
I don't think it's too outrageous to say that a leap of judgment here or analysis, but the involvement and the role that you've had there in those lives have gone on to really shape the world in so many ways. And your engagement and involvement is what helped that. So thank you very much for doing that.
No, well, thank you for that compliment. I appreciate that. It's been an honor to serve in all the places that I've had the honor to serve at.
I think about Gandalf and Lord of the Rings.
I found it is the small things, everyday deeds of ordinary folk that keeps the darkness at bay. Simple acts of kindness and love.
Just mentioning this idea that it isn't this one great act or activity that really keeps the darkness at bay. It's the small things that, when you add them up together, really make a difference. And the work that you're doing, inspiring others to do just that, is so cool. So you are Gandalf, and that's cool.
Well, thank you, Javier. I appreciate that. Compliment.
Of course, yeah, that's total Gov Geek style.
Excellent.
Is there any other locations where people could to find out more about you? Websites, Twitter, Instagram, anything like that?
I need to do more tweeting. M Bugenhagen, Bugenhagen is my Twitter handle. And I am working on developing more of a Facebook page that'll share some leadership quotes, and working on another group. It's called Resonate and Thrive, but I don't have that up yet. But they're going to be looking at how can I provide some more background. I do a lot of reading, and if I can be able to share some of the thoughts or some ideas with people, I'm starting to move in that direction. So Bugenhagen is not difficult to forget, I think. So maybe you'll find me by doing a search.
Of course. And all of the links, all the materials will be provided in this video as well. And as things come out, I'll be sharing all of that with the Gov Geeks community, so everyone would have the chance to really engage as much as possible.
Well, that sounds great. I look forward to having people make connections.
Thank you again for speaking with us.
Thank you. It's been my honor.
We hope you found Marilyn's guidance helpful. Please give this video a thumbs up and add a comment too. Also, check us out on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Together, we can help government meet its mission and serve the people. We're in it to make a difference. Thank you so much for watching. Service for public servants.